Good afternoon, BB Wood. Welcome on VH Berries.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I am exceedingly grateful. How is your day going?
My day is going well. It's very rainy outside. The beginning of autumn has, started, which is always nice.
Theater. And the one from the TWA Hotel at New York's JFK Airport.
Yes, it's an amazing space. I love the TWA Hotel. They were very, very gracious to let us film there, and it's so iconic. I can't believe that they let us film there, and obviously that's where we shot the music video for Don't Call Me Flower. But that's so funny.
You recorded the video clip of one of the track of your new EP called 21st Century Hippie, and this track is called Don't Call Me Flowers, starring BB Wood, Rebecca Basor, and also Lindsay Hayles.
Yes, we had an amazing group of women working on that. Rebecca was the director, and oh gosh, it was such an amazing time, collaborating with her. And it also felt like a little bit of a vacation. I mean, at least for me, probably not for her, because directing is very stressful. But it kind of felt like a vacation in a way, because we were all staying in the TWA Hotel while we were filming at the TWA Hotel. And it was just such a fun group of people. I think, it just felt like a vacation, and it was like a beautiful, creative, collaborative vacation. And then my friend Lindsay is a very, very good friend of mine who we basically grew up together in Kansas City. So we used to do theater and stuff together. So I've always known Lindsay, and so it was so much fun to collaborate with everyone.
I would love BB Wood to discuss about the creative process behind the release of this EP, of those 6 tracks, because 21st Century Hippie is a 21st century masterpiece.
Oh my goodness! Thank you. What praise! I am flattered. Gosh, yeah, it's funny. I wasn't trying to write an EP necessarily, and I certainly was not trying to write a 21st century masterpiece. That's for sure. But I appreciate that, basically. And I didn't necessarily have an end goal. I just knew that I enjoyed writing songs, and it was honestly just something I did in my free time. You sit in your bedroom after a long day, and people have their things, maybe playing games or listening to music or, hanging out with friends. I think for me, just playing instruments was my way to decompress. So, after a long day, I would just sit in my room, or sometimes in the bathtub. I wouldn't even fill the bathtub. I would just sit in my bathtub with my clothes on, just playing guitar or whatever, singing, and that was very relaxing to me. So I think I kind of realized, I don't know, maybe a year or so after I started writing songs. I must have been 16 years old. I was like, okay, I think there's something here. Maybe I could record these, maybe I can share them with people. And I just happened to meet some really incredible people that encouraged me to pursue music, I guess, more full-time. And one of those people was Ted Hutt, who is sort of maybe like my musical soulmate and one of my favorite people I've ever met. And I'm so grateful for his friendship and his mentorship and just existence in general. And we met and I played him the songs that I had, and he was like, yeah, I think we could rock California. And it was just such a magical time. I don't know how old I was 18 maybe. We recorded it kind of a long time ago. We recorded it in 2019. So, you know, that's a long time ago, and we released it last year, 20 something. But yeah, I don't know. It just like, it was a magical time and a magical experience, and
that you're treating your creativity and your songwriting as much and in the same image that you're treating the plant that is just next to you very well.
My plant has never been complimented. Why would I take the credit for, you know, that? But yes, this is, I think it's called a mother-in-law's tongue, and it's a great plant. So thank you.
And BB Wood, one of the very unpack here, because you included a lot of flowers
and it may surprise you, but we created the whole thing. It was a set that we made in a lovely little studio in London, and we had several sets within that space. We had that set and ended up using it, but we had like 2 more sets. One was like the set for Shaped Me and not only who I am, I think, as a person, but who I am as an artist. So I wanted to honor them in that photograph. And then we had another, we were releasing, or we're supposed to release 21st Century Hippie as a single. And we didn't end up necessarily like theater, but we didn't use that photo, and it's still not out. I've never posted it or shared it, but that set for the photo of Truman Capote, that always tickled me. And I really don't know why it always tickled me. I think, like you said, you know, all the random cats are just so odd. I was just like so fascinated by this image of Truman Capote. In the photo, I feel like there's a few possessions and like things that I reference in certain songs, certain items. So if people have, I don't know if people have caught on, but there's a couple times in the songs that I mention certain things, and those certain things are hidden within the image of the EP. So you know, if people have found any, I would love to know what they have found. But yeah, I think it was half my, you know, just being sort of, you know, mildly amused by this Truman Capote photograph, and then also like wanting to breathe life into it, and brilliant. He is just a genius artist. And I'm so thankful. And then my friend Natalie, who's also a musician, and she's incredible. Her name's Natalie Findley, and she's just wickedly talented to get it all together so quickly. And I was only in London for a short amount of time. Just, it all came together very quickly, and I'm just so grateful for, you know, everyone participating and collaborating and being so willing to lend their time to the.
See some Easter eggs, but there are actually cats in pictures were actually taken in London, England, and you have a very special connection with this city and country. Something called Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
They took me on a family vacation, and we went to go see Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I'd never gone to the theater before, so it was very new to me. And yes, keep in mind, I was very young. I was like 3. And we were sat in the front row. There's a very infamous character in this show called the Child Catcher, who is very scary. And the British version, I think, was way scarier than the American version. I think they like, when they brought the show to America, they made him less scary. But in England, I remember him being quite terrifying. And in the middle of the show, the child catcher, he had like a sickle, like a little hook. And in the middle of the show, he leaned over and tapped his little, you know, sickle on my nose and was like, "I'll get you, kitty witty." And my parents freaked out. They were like, "Oh my God, like we're sitting in the front row. Like if she starts crying, like we're gonna have to walk all the way from the, you know, front row all the way to the back. Like how embarrassing, like what's she gonna do? Like, how is she gonna react?" And apparently instead of crying, I just started laughing and I loved it. And I was just like giggling up a storm. And yeah, after the show, I was like, well, what is this? I mean, I love this. Like, who is this guy? Like, what does he do? So I asked my parents if we could go meet him. So, you know, they took me to the stage door and I got like my, you know, playbill signed or whatever. And I was like, "What do you do?" And he was like, "I'm an actor." And so, I remember I was like, "Mom, Dad, can I start taking acting classes?" And I think from that moment, I was pretty sold. I think that was the, you know, initial moment that I recognized that I think performing is something I would like to do. And as a child, I think I always just thought of it that, like, it wasn't a hobby. Like, it was going to be my job. And I don't know, I was just, like, very set on it, which is funny. I don't know why or where that came from, but I think, like, I was just set on being a professional actor. And I think that experience in London had a lot to do with it.
This experience has a lot to do with it, B.B. Wood. And you just mentioned that character, a very, very scary character named the child catcher, initially played by Robert Helpman in the 1968 original movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen the original movie in so long, but I started listening to the like cast recording, the soundtrack, and there are just some beautiful, beautiful songs in that show. Like Hushabye Mountain is one of the most heartbreakingly beautiful songs I think I've ever heard, and it has stuck with me since childhood. So maybe one day I'll record my own version of Hushabye Mountain.
Absolutely. And B.B. Wood, one thing that you told me last time that really catched my attention was one sentence concerning acting and singing and the relationship between them, which is, if acting is my passion, music is my soul.
Yes, I did say that. I think it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I think, like, people often ask me, if you had to choose one, which would you choose? And that's such a hard question for me to answer because, you know, if acting is my passion, music is my soul, and like I don't want to give up my soul, certainly, and I also don't want to give up my passion. So it's definitely hard to choose between the two, and I don't think I have to necessarily. So yeah, I don't know. I think like music is something that comes from within yourself, and while acting also comes from within, it's just a different part of your body. It's just like a different bone in your body. You know, obviously in acting, you are pulling from your life experiences to understand the character that you're playing, right? You have to empathize and sympathize and sort of gain respect for the person that you're playing, not only through listening to them and hearing their voice within the text, but also, you know, relating to them. It's just like how we do in real life, you know. We relate to people, and that is how we, you know, gain feelings for those people. That's how we gain, like, you know, relationship with that person, is by relating to them. That sounds like counterintuitive, but, you know, I think like, yeah, I think like that is acting, right? And music is very much the same, but it's just your own voice, rather than reading the text and making it your own. You are the the creator of the text, you're the writer. So it's all you. So, you know, as an actor, you get a script and there are words, and you study and dissect the words to better understand your character. And when you write music, you sit in front of an empty page and have to figure out how you feel and write about it, which is daunting. Both tasks are daunting, but in different ways. But music is my soul for that reason, and acting is my passion because it's something I've always loved and I will never stop loving.
If I understood correctly, Bebe Wood, songwriting, it is much more personal because you are the one crafting and engineering everything. For example,
right.
That lyrics in Matthew Street, cobblestone below my feet.
Yeah, and it's simple, right? Like the image of cobblestone below one's feet is so simple, but you know, I have specific memories of that. Like when I sing that, I know exactly what I'm talking about, you know? And what's magical is that, like, you know, even though we all have different lives, someone might listen to that and also have a similar memory, even though we're completely different people. And they might be able to interpret the song in a different way than I intended, which I think is part of the magic of it, really, you know? The song can mean something to me and also mean something completely different to someone else. And, the song, like when I write music, I feel like it helps me just, it's like therapy, honestly. It like helps me process certain things, or it helps me understand my emotions, or sometimes music for me just serves as a camera in a way, and I can sort of take a picture of a memory through melody or through lyric or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think like for other people, it does the same, even if their story is entirely different. I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely. People listening to 21st century hippie can relate to it in a very different way. I just mentioned Matthew Street. This is my favorite track. I really like the video clip with the some of the lyrics that are put into the video, and also with a very fancy layer all around the frame of the video.
Yes. Yeah. My friend Jaden, made that, and they're so talented. I mean, they did that in a matter of days, and the rest of the video was like shot around my like neighborhood. And so, yeah, I mean, it was very much like a homey sort of like labor of love. And I really liked that video for that reason. But Jaden, they did such a fantastic job. And I think that's paint. I think they like painted on like glass, and sort of, I don't actually know how they did it, but it's brilliant. So yeah, I really like that video as well.
Absolutely. This is the artwork of Jaden Becker. And to come back to the EP cover, there is one item that I just mentioned before, and I have a question for you, Bebe Wood.
Yeah.
What are you hiding in that giant suitcase?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't know, would the allure disappear if I told everyone? You know, maybe, you know, it's the element of surprise, you know, and that's what adds the allure, the mystery of it all.
Well, I would have to content myself with that piece of information about it. And one very important chapter, Bebe Wood, of your journey, especially those 3 last years, is a television series on Hulu and Disney Plus called Love,
Yes.
Victor. Can you tell us about the genesis of this project on your side?
Yes, totally. It all started in summer of 2019, like very early summer, I recall. And we had just finished recording the EP, actually. And I came back home to the East Coast to visit my family and my friends. And I got an email basically, you know, saying, hey, like we have an audition for you for this show called it's called Love, Simon spinoff. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was super excited about it because oh, wait, I got one thing off in my timeline. What's funny is I was actually in LA, supposed to go to the studio. It was like, I don't know, maybe a couple days into, recording the album or recording the EP. We were probably like 4 days into recording. And I got an email, Love, Simon spinoff. And I was like, oh, cool. I want to audition for this, but also like, there's so much going on. Like I need to like find time to record my audition for this. I remember this because then I went to one of my friends' houses and we recorded the audition together. And then right after that, I went to the studio to record one of the songs for the EP. But yeah, I recorded that then. And then I went to the East Coast just to visit my friends and family after we finished wrapping up the EP. And I think because the EP was going on, like I really wasn't thinking about Love Victor or Love Simon at the time. I think it had just like slipped my brain. And I think that always happens as well, like with the ones that you like, or at least in my experience, like I have auditioned for certain projects where I'm like, oh my God, like I really want this. And then like you audition and then just kind of forget about it because there's like, I feel like when you book a job, it's always when you're like the most busy or like when there's so much happening. So you're not even really thinking about it. And then it's the ones that you're like hung up on. You're like, oh gosh, I like want this so bad that you know, never get. But I was like so excited about the project. We finished the EP, and then I went back home and then I got an email and they were like, they really responded to your tape. Do you want to, you know, tape again and do a callback? And I was like, yes. And it all clicked for me. I was like, oh wait, this is awesome. Like I get the callback. Like this is really cool. And I was a really big fan of Love, Simon, the film, and Becky Albertalli, just in general. So I was really pumped about like auditioning, but I'm also not the type of person that is like, oh, like I'm gonna get this. You know what I mean? Like I really wasn't thinking much of it. And after I sent in the callback audition, I got a phone call from Isaac Aptaker basically telling me about the ideas that he had and kind of where he wanted the series to go. And I was really, really interested in all of the things that he was saying was like resonating with me really deeply. And so I think I just like really connected to it. And then they offered me the job and I am so grateful that they did. Because it was just one hell of a 3-year adventure, you know, after that. So, that was the origin of my, you know, experience and time on Love Victor, which, you know, just the auditioning way of life. But I ended up going to LA to shoot the first episode in August and we shot the entirety of season 1. From like August to December, and it was 2019, you know, it was fantastic. I was feeling on top of the world. I just recorded the EP. Everything was going really well. And then, you know, March of 2020 happens and obviously the entire world changes in a matter of, you know, moments really. And it was all so uncertain. We didn't know when we were going to go back to work. We didn't know if we were going to go back to work. We really didn't have any idea. I mean, I'm sure, you know, you remember how uncertain life was at that time. So we just waited and our show came out in June of 2020 and it was amazing to just see the outpour of love and support from the fans. And it was truly magical. And then, you know, we basically, started filming season 2 and it was pretty awesome. It was crazy, right? Cause I've been working for so long. I think like in my head, I have like a routine, right? Like a set routine. I know like I'm going to show up to work. I'm going to do these things to make myself feel prepared. The entire thing was turned on its head. Like I had never worked on a show during a pandemic, you know what I mean? So that was like a whole relearning process, which I actually think was really helpful, because sometimes when you do so many things the exact same way for years, like it can feel a little like you start getting into this routine that maybe isn't like, I don't know, it's just like nice to switch things up, I think is what I'm trying to say. So even though it was like a kind of crazy way to switch things up, I think it was like a good reminder to like, okay, stay fresh, like stay, you know, present and all of these things. So, you know, we filmed season 2 during a pandemic, which was crazy and totally unprecedented. And I haven't done anything like it before. And then we filmed season 3, which was a little bit more relaxed because at that point we had all been vaccinated. So, it wasn't as stressful. I mean, it was certainly stressful, but just to a lesser degree. So, you know, it was truly a crazy 3 years, a wonderful 3 years, and I feel so grateful to have had the opportunity to work with so many incredible people, both cast and crew, and honestly just tell a story that, you know, represents so many people and tells a story that deserves to be told and needs to be told. So I feel so grateful that I was able to be a part of it.
You were very grateful to be a part of it, Bibi Wood, and this is always the same story with you. Each time that you're going into audition with your friends, only Bibi Wood gets the part.
Well, you know, it really depends. It really depends. You can audition for hundreds of things and you'll be met with no more often than not, and then, you know, sometimes you get a yes, and it is very exciting. And I feel very lucky and blessed that like all of the times that I have been told yes are for projects that I truly love and feel really passionate about. I feel very, very lucky. Very, very lucky for that.
Your character in Love, Victor is called Lake Meriwether. Can you tell us about her personality and what you have in common with Lake?
Totally. I think, you know, it's funny sort of talking about Lake now after the fact, right? Because now I have the full story. I feel like when people would ask me this question sort of like in between seasons, you know, I would be able to tell certain things, but not the full picture. And I think maybe my favorite thing about Lake and playing her was just seeing her growth. I mean, she changes so much from season 1 to season 3, and she really just kind of discovers who she is. And you know, I think the great thing about Lake as a character is she's always like confident. She's always like bold. She's always like larger than life and true to herself, even though she has her insecurities, like we all do, you know. She was always so just true to herself, which I loved. But to see that, like, I don't know, she just embraced not only herself, but her friends and her surroundings in such different ways by season 3. I think, I don't know, I think we have a lot in common, and also, you know, nothing in common somehow. I think, like, you know, I think a lot of her, insecurities revolve around what her peers will think of her. And I have a very strange experience because I didn't go to high school. So I never necessarily had like high school peers. When I was in high school, I was on a show and I was the youngest person. Like the youngest person above me was in their 20s. So I wasn't necessarily around my peers. So I feel like I had less peer pressure in that way, which I'm grateful for, because that isn't an easy thing to deal with. And Lake certainly, you know, has to, I don't know, learn how to see and look past the noise a little bit, to sort of be truly comfortable with who she is. But you know, I think she has a love of like pop culture and music, and I think she loves her friends, and she's super loyal and likes being silly and funny, and I think like I love all of those things too.
In conclusion, the lesson from that character and from everything in general, as you just mentioned, is to stay large in life. Thank you very much, BB Wood.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you.